thank you so much for joining me back here. Today we are going to do my September wrap-up. I haven't really been doing wrap-ups here lately. I don't really have a reason why. I just don't feel like I've read enough to do one. I used to combine my TBRs and my wrap-up videos, but I have stopped making TBR videos. I just feel that they don't work for me. TBRs just in general do not work for me. I'm more of a mood reader, so I don't really stick to them. However, I did read a decent amount in the month of September, at least for me, so that's what we're going to do today. So I have 7 books to talk about today, which is a lot for me. One of them I technically finished yesterday, October 1st, but I read the majority of it in September, so I'm going to count it for September. So I have my Goodreads open just because I'm terrible at remembering what I read when I've read it. So the first book I finished on September 1st is what it says on my Goodreads, and it is Phantom of the Opera. This is a well-known classic. However, I didn't know much about it as I was reading it before I read it. My husband Ethan wanted me to read this because he actually really enjoys this one, and I did too. I listened to it on audiobook, so I feel like I didn't maybe appreciate it as much as I would have if I had read it in the physical format, whether through ebook or just a physical book in general. But I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting, and it was not at all what I was expecting. I've been meaning to watch the movie since I read the book, and I just haven't got around to it yet. But that is on my agenda sometime soon. I don't know. Might watch it with Ethan when he gets home. We'll see. Next up, I have 2 books from a series that I did a whole video on, so I'm not going to spend much time on them. But I read The City of Bones and City of Ashes, which are the first 2 books in the Mortal Instrument series. Now, I did a reading vlog on the first one and part of the second one. Hoo-wee! And I also did a complete video on why I DNF'd this series. So again, I'm not going to go much into it. I did listen to both of these, which I think made a difference. For me, the dialogue was very corny and unnatural, and those aspects of it were just a lot more noticeable in the audiobook format. Hearing someone say the dialogue rather than actually reading it really made a difference for me, because I did try reading some of this in the ebook format during downtime whenever I didn't want to listen to it, but I still wanted to continue on with the story. I would read a chapter or 2 in the physical format. I didn't read much of it on ebook. Most of it was audiobook, but I will say that I enjoyed it more as an ebook, but not enough to continue on with this series. Again, I made a whole video about this. It's like 20 minutes long. Next up, I listened to Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This was super good. I really enjoyed it. It was the first YA book I've listened to in a long time that I really enjoyed. And I did a reading vlog on this as well if you're interested in hearing a more collected version of my thoughts. But I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the plot, I was really interested. I thought at the beginning that the plot would be kind of predictable, and in a way it still is, but not so much so that I was bored. And I am anxious to continue on with the series. I'm waiting for the next book to come to me from Libby. So then I read Prince Caspian, which is one of the Chronicles of Narnia books, and I enjoyed it, but not as much as other people seem to. I've heard people say that this is their favorite in the series, and that was not the case for me at all. That being said, it still was really enjoyable. I listened to some of this one. I read most of it in the physical format, but I found that it was taking me so long to get through it. I don't know why. I guess I just didn't find it as interesting as some of the other books in the Chronicles. So yeah, it was taking me a long time, so I finished it as an audiobook, and that worked out for me. Overall, I enjoyed this one, but it's kind of in the middle. I didn't not enjoy it, but it definitely wasn't as enjoyable as some of the rest for me. Then I listened to Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I never know how to pronounce names. I apologize. But yes, I listened to Strange the Dreamer, and it was awesome. I did a reading vlog on this. It should already be out by now. It was kind of 2 chunks because I read the first half in one of them and then the second half in the next one. But I listened to this one on Libby, and let me just say that I really enjoyed the narrator. I thought he did an excellent job, and I thought his voice fit the character of Laszlo very well from what the book describes him as. Laszlo's described as kind of this brutish character, and the narrator had a very raspy, deep voice. So just the picture that I had of Laszlo, I thought the narrator fit very well. I enjoyed the beginning of this story a lot more than the ending. I found the premise of it very interesting, and I feel like the romance was not necessary. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, I think I would have enjoyed it more without it. I also did think that this book was an urban fantasy before I read it for some reason. I have no idea why. So in all honesty, I was not excited to pick this book up. I have the physical copy back home in Georgia, but I just needed something to listen to. It had a short waiting period. It took like a couple days to get it to me from Libby. So I decided to go ahead and listen to it since I already had it on my TBR shelf, and I was surprised. And I think because my expectations were so low is why I enjoyed it so much. So yeah, it's not an urban fantasy if you're wondering and wanting to pick it up. It's not. Arguably, it's somewhere between urban and high fantasy, I would say, a little bit. It's not as complex as a lot of high fantasies are, but there's definitely nothing of the real world in it, if that makes sense. The last book I read this month is the one I finished yesterday on October 1st. But again, I only had 2 or 3 chapters left, so I'm counting it in September. And that was Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which is another Narnia book. 5 or 6, I can't remember exactly. So yes, this was probably one of my favorites, which is a little surprising to me because I never really hear anyone talk about this one. I think The Magician's Nephew, which is the first one, is my favorite so far. I enjoyed backstory. Just in general, I enjoy backstory, and that's what a lot of that book is. It lets you know how Narnia came to be, how the world was discovered, that kind of thing. So I really enjoyed that one, and I enjoyed The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is the one that most people, I would say, enjoy. It's the one that is most popular. But I really enjoyed this one as well. The Voyage of the Dawn Treader is more of like a journey novel. So Edmund and Lucy and their cousin Eustace are all on a ship, the Dawn Treader, and they just go from island to island, and it tells you their experiences on those different islands. They are also with Prince Caspian too. So I really enjoyed it. It reminded me a lot of Gulliver's Travels because each new island that they went to had something different to offer. But overall, it was really enjoyable, and I don't know, I was just excited to read it. I always wanted to just read more, and I actually got through this one a lot quicker than I did some of the previous books in this Chronicles. So yeah, there we go. Those are all the books that I read in September. I read a lot more than I usually do in a month. My goal has typically been 2 books in a month, and I think I said I read 7 this month, so that is actually really good for me. Audiobooks have definitely helped a lot since I had my son. I listen to them all the time while we're doing stuff throughout the house, and that's how I do most of my reading nowadays. As far as a physical book, I don't think there was a physical book on this list. No, all of these that I talked about today were audiobooks, if that gives you any reference for how my reading has been going lately. In the end, I don't mind. That's how I can get reading done, and as long as I can get reading done, that's all that matters. I'm still getting the story, so I'm happy with it. But that's all I really have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe down below and leave a comment. You guys are awesome. I am thankful for you, and we'll be back here next time, guys. See ya!